All right, welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I am your host, Brian Call, and behind the desk, we have the quietly famous Gritty Broman, my brother, Brent Call.
It might be infamous. And this isn't a desk. Okay, it's the helm.
Oh.
This is where everything comes through and goes out.
All right, Brent's behind the helm.
Thank you.
And today's podcast is with Ryan Carter. He's been on the podcast a few times. He is very skilled at hunting big, mature bulls right here in Utah, in a few units that he's known for. You can follow him on Instagram. What is it, DC Outfitters?
Yes.
At DC Outfitters?
Yep.
If you don't know, just go follow his Instagram.
But fair warning, ladies. He's a good-looking gentleman.
He is. The beard is serious.
I have an unkempt beard. He has something that's like off of a Greek statue. He's Shanghaied it.
Yeah, true. Very true. So anyway, Carter is on the show today. It's me and him, we got to talking for about 3 hours. Three and a half.
4.
3.5 people, not 4. And we didn't even notice the time flew by. We were just having a good time. Ryan is just a stud. He's fun to talk to, and just a good human being, and he knows a lot. I don't remember what we talked about because we recorded it.
I haven't edited it yet,
ago.
so I don't know. But I just.
But if you just want to sit, if you just want to enjoy
I will say this: Ryan delivers on his podcasts. They're all great.
I just enjoy Ryan. So if you want to just be the fly on the wall and listen to a conversation among two friends, and maybe Ryan will drop some knowledge that you didn't know about before on a couple of things, I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, the dude kills big stuff every year, all year long.
Yeah. What's first on the agenda?
First thing on the agenda
before we get to the podcast
is a lovely mean thing.
Mean things.
Yes.
Okay, hit me with it. So, folks, I haven't seen any of these. I purposely don't. I mean, I see them as they come through channels, but
Brian's not a dweller.
Brent actually collects them and then harbors them. It's about time that we're going to just throw them out on the show. I will face them head on. And
this is a good one, Brian.
Yeah.
This one's good.
By the way, are you switching camera angles ever?
Yeah. Yeah, I switched it like 6 times at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
But this is the better angle. And,
See,
you're staring at me.
We're working on practice right now with Brent because next time we're going to have more cameras set up. And when I have a guest, I don't want you guys watching the guest from 10 feet away. I want you like right up there so you can see their facial expressions.
Brian, I've seen the metrics. They don't watch your show.
True. But I'm a video guy as much as audio.
I just like video. I watch my podcast a lot of the time.
And a lot of people do. And so I just want to make sure that if we got the equipment and the gear and we're doing it, that you're doing your job.
I'm not shafting you video viewers.
All right.
So, again, was good. Now, 2 bro, 1 star.
What is this? Instagram comment?
I believe
YouTube?
Our mother actually sent this one in. This is from the iTunes.
Okay, this is an
titled,
iTunes review.
By Over Your Reruns.
Okay.
I used to listen to this when it first started. There was actually talk about interesting and technical bow hunting topics. Then it started to be harder to listen and only about product promotion. Now, in its new evolution toward the Gritty Podcast, I can't even get through an episode. This guy has gone from boy to bro to brosif to full-on frat bro before our ears. It's all about, ooh, brothers, working hard. Like he's quoting Randy Savage without the muscles and athleticism. I'd love to tell him to his face, but since I unfollowed Gritty, Bowman, I hope never to hear about this brofest again. You've lost your roots, brah. I didn't come to you for motivation, and I'm sure many others didn't either.
Okay.
Randy Savage without the muscles. Apparently the guy's never seen a picture of you, Brian.
What did he give me? Like a star?
1 star.
1 star.
You can't give people no stars. You have to give them something.
That's rough, dude. 1 star. There's no way to really respond on iTunes either. It's
No.
kind of a, you can like leave your dig and leave and there's no accountability. Is there a name?
It's by Over Your Reruns.
That's his handle?
That's his handle.
So he'll tell me to his face this thing, but
on
yet
a platform that can't be.
But yet he didn't
replied
put his
to.
name on it.
Brian, he didn't come to you for motivation, and he's positive other people's didn't either.
Look, the podcast covers a wide range of things. If you come here for a podcast on gear, we do podcasts on gear.
We do podcasts on hunting.
We do
podcasts
on tactics.
Food.
We also do podcasts on conservation. We do podcasts on Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. I do podcasts.
We interviewed a rodeo
Yeah,
king.
yeah. I mean, we have interviewed a lot of interesting people. I want the show to be mostly centered around hunting. I mean, that's kind of my passion. But also, if I find something useful, entrepreneurship, anybody
People
who's
who have
successful.
one passion are boring.
Well, note taken.
How about some soothing balm? Also, another one sent by our dear mother.
Is this one a positive comment?
This is a positive comment.
Okay, a nice thing someone said.
This is a nice thing. So, Mom has been. We recruited Mom, and she's been.
By the way, like I'm kind of the same guy for the most part now as when I started the podcast. Just to set the.
To be fair to the guy, you're a little less muscular than when you started the podcast. You're a busy man.
But I'm working on getting that back. But you're right. Like I'm much less fit than I was in some ways. In some ways, I can hike further
I was
and
going to say your
faster.
cardio is way up there. You're just not as meatheady.
Thanks, brother.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
I say that with-
Meatheady. I think that's a positive, but I'm not sure.
It depends on
Anyway.
where you're coming from.
Anyway, when I say bro, which happens occasionally, I mean it. I mean, like, I like Brother Snyder.
Yeah.
And I like
What-
Brother Casey. And I like Brother Matt Davis.
When I see a friend of mine I haven't seen in a long time, I go, brother.
Brother
Always.
Mike Massey. Like, I don't know. It's just, I feel like it is a brotherhood. Anyway, I'm the same guy. For the most part, I'm the same guy as when I started. And that cuts a little deep.
Anyways, moving on to a nice thing.
Yeah.
It says, this one's titled Gritty is Back. 5 stars. By Have Faith 2014. Luckily, I subscribed to the podcast and wasn't involved in the outage. Can't say my buddies had the same luck. This is one of the most informative and influential podcasts in the hunting industry. I appreciate that Brian keeps it clean, so my kids can enjoy it on long trips in the truck to the backwoods. So I laughed at that one because the way that he said it, in my mind it was, I like that Brian keeps it clean so I can trap my kids in long car rides and not feel bad about it.
Yeah. Nice. And that was by who?
Have Faith 2014.
2014. Well, thank you, Have Faith. I appreciate that. It's been a pretty awesome journey with Gritty, and I've learned a lot. I've met a lot of incredible people, and hope to continue to do that, and hope to continue to bring value to people like that. We got some really cool stuff coming up the pipeline.
2019 is going to be fantastic.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be way good.
All right, what's next, Brent?
I got a question for you.
Yep.
From the mailbag.
Okay.
This is actually an email sent to us, and it's from John Deal. And the subject is where to get started. Hi, Brian. Thanks for the fantastic podcast you've been making. I started listening a couple of months ago, and I'm hooked. I have a question. Mm-hmm. If you have some time to offer me your thoughts, I've always been a rifle hunter in PA, but that is it. I live in the city now, Pittsburgh, but I can't fully accept becoming an urbanite. I'm from the mountains in rural northern PA. I decided to take up bow hunting and bought a Matthews bow, but I really don't have a clue where to start. I've got an abandoned soccer field around the corner where I can practice, but I'm not sure what equipment I need. Specifically, I need to know what sight and bow release I ought to get. I guess arrows too. Basically, I've got a compound bow. What should I get next? I listen to your podcast on the Garmin Zero, but do you think it's a good idea to learn to shoot with a Garmin Zero or with a pin sight? Also, what kind of bow release do you think is good for a starter? I heard you mention the Carter 3 fingers, I think. But did you think that's a good place to start? I hope you don't mind me asking. There's so much info out there and so many different opinions. But I trust your opinion that I'd ask. Thanks.
And that was who?
That was John with no H, Deal. Jon Deal.
John Deal. Thank you, John, for sending in the question.
Sweet name, brother.
That's a good question.
Bro a lot now.
So he's got a new bow, and he's wondering what sight to get, what release, how to get started.
And arrows. So basically, the guy's got a bow.
Mm-hmm.
What next? I think arrows.
And that's going to take more than a minute or two to answer that question. Yeah.
How about we just answer the question? Should he try and learn with a 0, or should he learn with a pin sight?
I think he should start with a pin sight. First of all, the 0 is a big investment. It's a lot of money right off the bat. And I mean, I love the 0, but you can pick up a pin sight for $30-$40.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think everyone should learn how to drive a manual.
Yeah.
So they can appreciate their automatic.
Right. And getting the concept and the idea behind a pin sight is a great way to start. And then buy the 0. The 0 is fun though. I mean, if you're a wealthy guy and you got cash to spend, get a 0. I mean, it'll be a lot of fun. In principle, they work the same in the sense that you can run the 0 as a fixed pin. You can run your fixed pin is a fixed pin. Your non-electronic sight. Your pin sight is legal in every state. So if you're gonna hunt out west, you're gonna want a pin sight for some of the states you're in. So I think a pin sight's a great start. Maybe you don't even like archery down the road. So start off with a pin sight. Keep it simple. I really like black gold. That's what I'm running on my non-0 setups. I like a black gold 3-pin sight slider. And I start with 30-yard pin, 30, 40, 50.
Okay. What about like a cheap trigger? Should he go for like a crazy hinge release right off the bat, or should he just go with a trigger punch or something?
I got my kids working on a hinge.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I would hate you.
I got my kids working on a hinge.
Wouldn't talk to you anymore.
I got them using a thumb release. I think that you can develop a lot of bad habits with a wrist rocket with an index finger release, and I think it's better for a new archer to run a hinge starting off. And I like for new archer, I really do like the Sweet Spot by True Ball because it has a safety on it. So when you hook the head onto the D loop and you lock it, it won't accidentally go off. So you're not going to accidentally punch yourself in the face or anything like that. So you can pull back and there's no problems with it. So a beginner who's a little sketched out by it or isn't quite sure how to make it work can go ahead and use the Sweet Spot. I think it's a great tool for a beginner archer. And you come to full draw, and then once you're there, you can take the safety off, and then you can start working through the hinge. What I was going to say at the very beginning is I highly recommend that you find a great bow shop in your area. I know that's not always easy, but if you get on some local forums, word of mouth, talk to some people, go to a few archery ranges, 3D courses around the area, ask around. Find somebody who is really good at archery or really good in a bow shop that will mentor you. There are a couple of bow shops that I've used throughout the years. I lived in Oregon, and so if you're in PA, so I'm not sure out that way what a good bow shop is, but I'm sure you got a few because PA is full of bow hunters. PA is awesome. I'm going to go there for Seven Springs.
Cool.
I really love the Total Archery Challenge down there. I'd check out a bow shop. If you're in Oregon, go to Triple X Archery. My friend Corey Miller. There's also a shop called G4 Archery in Colorado. Phil Mendoza at No Limits. He's an incredible human being and has an excellent shop, and they'll set you up right here out of Salt Lake. I go to
Wild
Arrow. And Jeremiah Plyer is working on my gear. I just can't say enough about a good bow shop. Find one and be their best friend Learn as much as you can from that. You'll crush it.
Yep.
But hinge and a fixed pin. Sweet spot
I don't want
with
to
the
jump on that
safety.
hinge
I like it.
bandwagon.
Right now I'm using a knock-on. I have a knock-on hinge from John Dudley. I have a knock to it, the thumb button.
Mm-hmm.
I have the 2 Smooth. I like both of those, and they work really in concert well together. But for hunting, my favorite is a thumb release because I can treat it like a hinge, be surprised when the shot breaks, but I can also force the shot if it's heavy winds or the animals walk in, and I can time it. And I just have found I'm way more lethal that way.
Cool.
All right. We got some news coming up. I know we need to get to the podcast with Ryan, but hopefully here I just want to cover a couple of things. We have the Western Hunt Expo coming up here really soon, and that's right here in Salt Lake at the Salt Palace. That's going to be sweet. I have a film that I've produced with Keith, my cameraman here at Mountain Ops.
2018 moose hunt.
Yep, where I was at the Cassiar Mountains with Dustin Rowe and his outfit, Backcountry BC and beyond. Was down there with Adam Greentree and John Barklow and Jonathan Hart from Sitka. It was an incredible hunt. We got it's just a good story.
Yep.
So we're going to show the film at the Western Hunt Expo on Friday night. I think it's February 15th. So we haven't opened it up for ticket sales yet, but we're about to. And we're going to show a film with Adam Greentree. We're going to show a film, looks like, with Cameron Haynes, and a film with Jason Phelps and Nick Schmidt and Angry Mountain Productions. Mm-hmm. So
come down.
It's going to be a sweet night. We're going to give away tons of free gear and swag.
I would say Jordan's probably got an itch to do a raffle.
Yeah, all our partners are going to be there giving away stuff. So yeah, it's going to be a sweet night if you can make it out to the Western Hunt Expo. That's Friday night, February 15th there. And then we have some giveaways we've done. During the open season event, we did a giveaway for signing up for the Gritty newsletter. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter, please go and do that. And if you do, you're entered to win a Hoyt bow. We actually haven't given away the Hoyt bow yet. We never selected the winner for that open season. We had trouble getting the email to actually work. So we're a little technologically behind, but we are going to select a winner. So for those of you that might have been wondering, it's coming. We got 2 boxes here. I think we shipped everything out for the open season.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody got shipped. I think we have 2 items that remain. We have Wyatt Marvin.
No, one of those has nothing to do. That's just the backpack from someone.
Oh, that's prior to. Okay, mm-hmm. That was the Gritty hike. Mm-hmm. So I have two. Still, I have 2. Wyatt Marvin. We got your box right here. We're sending that out. And Dan Blevins, we got the other part of your deal here too. I can't remember which was which, but we are shipping those soon. And we have a Christensen Arms rifle that we gave away, that we're giving away. We announced the winner, but I haven't heard back from that winner yet. So
it's hard. I mean, like there's some platforms, there's no way to really reach out to that person.
Yeah.
Especially if they use a tag name that's not a name.
Yeah.
So you can't even try and stalk them on Facebook or something.
Yeah.
Which is how I found a couple of those people.
It's tough. When they leave a review on iTunes and you pick a winner, you announce it, but if they don't get back to you and they can't demonstrate who they were, it's hard to give them their item. So anyway, if you were part of the open season and you won something and you didn't get it, send us an email. Just go to contact us on briancall.com. Just go there and contact us there. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Gritty Podcast, and I hope you enjoy the show with Ryan Carter. Leave us a comment, review. As always, stay gritty.
Stay gritty.
Yeah, all right, folks. Welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I'm here with my good friend, Ryan Carter. And Ryan Carter, if I were to give you a label, it would be the Utah Big Bull
Master
Guide. No.
Maybe like just
Novice guide?
trail cam guy. I don't
Trail
know.
cam guy.
That kills things every now and then.
Do you think you run more trail cameras than any other outfitter?
No. I mean, it's hard to say because like an outfitter like Wade Lemon, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're probably running 150, but it's statewide. There's 20 on the Vernon and 20 on the Oak Creeks and a few on the Boulders, and they're running a lot. I run a lot of cameras in 2 or 3 areas.
Well, I'm glad you joined me today.
Yeah.
It's New Year's Eve.
Always glad to be back.
And we're just hanging in the gritty studio.
Yeah.
What do you think, man?
That's nice.
It's getting there.
Way better. I think our last one we did downstairs.
Did we?
Because they were still working on the walls.
That's right.
This is really nice.
So
sounds good. Looks good.
I am really glad that you're here, and folks that are listening, Ryan lives close by, so this should be a regular thing, I think.
You bet.
And Ryan's willing to do it, so this will be cool. So I'm going to fire away with a few questions right off the bat. Okay.
You bet.
All right. The beard. The beard is pretty epic right now.
That's gnarly.
And you had more than a few people ask you about the beard. I feel a little personal attacks regarding beard versus goatee. And
there were a couple comments.
Yeah, there's a few people who hated on the why is a beard so much cooler than a goatee? I think there's a major assumption being made there.
I don't know that it is. But, I mean, if you're looking at how dudes appear, how dudes perceive the way you look versus girls, I mean, it's totally different perception.
What is your experience so far? The beard, how is it working on the ladies? How is it working on the guys?
It's funny. So beards, no one looks you in the eye. No, even guys that 280 pounds at the gym, roided out, they won't make eye contact with beard guys. It's weird.
Really?
It's really weird. You're at the airport walking, everyone looks away.
They think you're a biker. It's about to stab them.
I know. I think I look like a terrorist. I don't know what it is.
Well, with the beanie on and everything, you kind of have, you do look sort of, yeah.
It could be the case. I don't know. Like, and every time I've done a poll, should I get rid of this thing? 'Cause I'm kind of sick of it. My wife hates it.
That's what I was going to ask. So
absolutely hates it. Hates it.
Yeah.
Hates kissing it. Hates the look. She likes my young face.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, honey, this is
have
probably the thing is I told her this is probably my last beard because when it goes gray, I won't have it.
It is super clean though. How much work goes into that?
I go in every 3 weeks and get a cut. I have an awesome barber.
Really?
And dude, it'd be this long. I shave every day when I don't have a beard.
So you have a barber that handles this mess.
Yeah.
Man, I might be able to do that. Here's my thing. I hate
maintenance.
I'm not a maintenance guy.
Yeah.
So if it requires work, that's why I have a goatee. First of all, shaving down to the baby skin, that's work, man.
No, that sucks.
I'm not going to do that. I never have shaved my head with a razor. That's work.
Well, and you're probably like me. I literally have to shave every day.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm going to have baby face, if I had a job that required
I'd have to shave every day. There's no chance.
And it's awful. It's awful.
But here's my deal. When I start to grow a goatee that's long, that's coming down, inches, dude, I wake up in the morning and half of it's facing that way and half of it's this way. Dude, I look like a clown.
Yeah.
That's maintenance. Now I got to try to figure out how to get it to lay down. And it doesn't want to.
No, I get my barber and he cleans it up. I oil it every day and it's fine.
That's one thing if I oiled it every day, it would be more.
Dude, beard oils are awesome. They smell good.
I need to try that.
It's great.
I probably should. Mountain Ops has a beard oil they came out with.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If it smells good, I'll wear it.
Yeah. I'll get you some. I feel but I haven't actually used any. And frankly, the last month or two, I've just been cutting it really short because I don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
So the wife, she actually likes the goatee. She doesn't care, but she hates it when I have beard hair on the side.
Really?
She wants to feel the clean cheek.
Huh.
Yeah.
See, my wife just hates kissing this.
Yeah, mine doesn't care.
I could have
she
those
likes
big,
it.
gnarly sideburns. She'd care less.
See, I feel like, I worked slowly up to the goatee and she got used to it. I think if I just filled out the beard, she'd be used to it. But it's gray as hell, dude.
Yeah.
There is no...
You got a lot of gray.
Dude, it's going to be
white. And if you were a full beard, it'd make you look older. Yeah. You have really young eyes. You'd probably pull it off. But like me, dude, I'm telling you, like, if my beard was gray, I would look 50 years old. You
know what I don't mind, though, is if I'm going to Arizona next week and stuff. Last time I was there, I got sunburnt pretty good. I got pretty tan. Like, my face was dark.
Yeah.
When I have a dark face and a white beard, it's somehow forgivable. Like, it somehow makes you look rugged.
Yeah.
When you're pale with a gray beard, it just, nothing. There's not much you can do about the gray beard.
No.
And it used to be like a little sprinkled salt and pepper, but really it's just salt now. It's mostly just salt.
It is pretty white right now.
It's just the hands of time, man.
Oh, you can't beat it.
Like, just keeps on coming.
You just can't fight it.
I do feel fit, though. I feel strong.
Uh-huh.
I feel, for my age, I feel good.
Yeah.
I've been running 3 to 5 miles a day.
Ugh.
Every day for 3 weeks.
That's amazing.
It's not a thing. I run up this hill. I'm not crushing it with time.
Right.
I think I'm running like a 8.5 minute mile, 9 minute mile. Cam's probably doing
6.
But,
it's a good pace.
But I don't care. It's just for me, it's the right pace. I like to get my heart rate up for an extended period of time, and I like running. It's a load bearing exercise. So I don't mind. I think it's but I still hit the gym and do heavy lifting and CrossFit style wads. I've been doing the grunt workouts.
Functional muscle.
Yeah, carrying sandbags, carrying weighted vest exercises, pushing sleds, pulling sleds. And then Chris Spieler's I have an account with Grunt Workout. Chris is just a friend of mine and I like his programming, so just so people know, I'm not paid to talk about this, but I dig it, and people should look into it that want to get in shape for hunting. It's really well balanced programming, but twice a week there's a long ruck. So anywhere from 90 minutes to 2 hours with a backpack at certain speeds, But, it's an hour up the mountain, an hour down, twice a week with the other sandbag carries and other like sort of man makers and different exercises. It's a pretty good all around workout for dudes that want to just be in shape. It's not a soul crushing kind of CrossFit type
thing. Yeah, I got you.
It's a nice balance, especially for people getting into fitness.
Yeah.
And you look pretty fit to me, even though you're talking about being overweight, dude. What's your?
Oh, it's just functional muscle.
Yeah.
I switch up what I do, between one muscle group a day to 2 or 3. And I switch all that up, but I have a couple partners that they are nonstop, like routine as can be. And I don't miss the gym ever. Yeah. I think just with those 2 guys, I'm going on 9 or 10 years of working out with them.
Yeah.
And I know.
How old are you now, Ryan?
41.
Yeah.
So I know if I'm 10 minutes late to the gym, I know where they're at.
Yeah.
Like it's Tuesday, it's 9:10. I know which machine. I missed the first round.
Right.
I know what it is, and that's huge.
Yeah.
Routine is huge.
I agree.
In everything.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've thought about that. I won't miss, even when I'm out of town, I have felt the travel take its toll.
Oh, always.
When I'm in a tree stand for a week, it's just not the same.
Eating nothing but Reese's. Yep. And that's me.
The first couple months of the fall, I was hiking and doing a lot. And then as the fall progresses and you get more into the whitetail space and later season stuff or late season, even elk hunting, there's just not as much fitness in there.
No.
Not as much hiking. You're just kind of glassing.
Yeah, you can see your truck from the tree stand.
Speaking of which,
elk season, I lose on average 27 pounds a year.
Holy
That's what I lose.
crap.
Well, I do close to 800 miles a year. This year I was short. I only did 7, if I remember right, and I haven't got to my cameras yet. I'll probably start doing that through the winter. But I mean, when you do those kind of mountains, and they're mountain miles.
Yep.
And it's all 10,000 feet.
I lose 15 to 20 pounds right in there. But this year, in the last couple, I've done really good about diet, I think, in the mountains, on my hikes and stuff, so that I've been able to keep my muscle and my weight up. And then when I came back, I was home for about a week, and I hit the gym in between. And in the past, I would just recover.
Right.
When I came home, just kind of chill. But I actually worked out all through the fall.
Yeah.
Every time I came back.
I lose muscle mass. It's weird. You'd think putting on those kind of miles, you'd lean out and lose a lot of body fat. I don't really lose body fat. I lose muscle.
Well, when I was in Lakewood, there's a gal that worked out there, the gym, they'd say, "Oh, here comes ass and legs." 'Cause like from the waist down, from the core, and then the waist down, that just continues to get stronger throughout the season. Right. And I'm in shape and I can lift heavy and I can do all that. It's my upper body.
Yeah.
Upper body disappears.
Oh, that's me too.
Shoulders, deltoids.
My legs are good. And even muscle memory's huge. Like running trails, I'm great at it. I can run trails all day. You put me on a flat road, dude, it kills me.
Yeah.
It kills me.
Yeah.
It's weird. But that's what I'm accustomed to. That's my muscle memory.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think running uphill and downhill, too, is just healthier for you anyway, especially if it's off-road. Mm-hmm. But I want to switch gears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were going whitetail.
Yep. I was going whitetail because we're going to get into some elk since you're kind of an expert in that space. Uh-huh. At least I deem you one.
Yeah. I'll take that.
And but on the whitetail thing, you and I both hunted whitetails. You got a lot of people that follow you comment on the whitetail hunting thing. Yeah. And they're like, why? Why would you hunt whitetails? And I kind of addressed that on an earlier podcast I did recently. Uh-huh. But you being the elk nut that you are also obsessed with whitetails.
Uh-huh.
And what's the story?
Good at whitetails. So, this is the funny thing about whitetails. Whitetails, they're just little elk. It's the same. I learned how to hunt elk off watching whitetail shows. Learning daytime patterns, learning where they're moving, learning where they're bedding, where their sanctuaries are, even their rut patterns from the lockdown to the preseason, cruising.
Yep.
Same thing. Just bigger scale. I'm chasing elk that are rotating 8 and 10 mile loops. Whitetails do quarter mile.
Right.
They run up this drainage, they come down this drainage. It's almost the same thing until they get on lockdown with some does. Elk are just way bigger. Wallows and scrapes are the same things. Pinch points, same things. Rub lines, elk have them. And any guy that spends enough time out there, they'll see them. Be like, boom, 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 boom.
But if I go and I watch, Born and Raised Outdoors, Land of the Free, or I go and watch, Hush, or, different guys go out and hunt. Maybe not so much Hush even, but some of these, like Corey Jacobson, Elk 101, Jason Phelps, a lot of them do not employ whitetail tactics whatsoever to hunt elk.
Yeah, but
they use calling.
That's why I'm a little different. I don't hunt in the rut. I'm chasing limited entry units that it takes 20 years to draw. And while I can appreciate a 340 bull just as much as a 400 bull, my clients have waited 20 years. They want to crack at 400. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
They want this opportunity. And so I have to look at inches and I have to look at the most opportune time to hunt them.
Yeah.
And so if I can pattern them preseason, I can kill them. Whereas when the rut kicks in, it's mayhem. Right. I mean, I have bulls that travel 32 miles between September 1st and September 25th. It's crazy.
We just ran into that when I was hunting in Ohio for Big Sexy. Mm-hmm. When I was going for that buck, it was the same situation where Owen knew exactly what the buck was doing, and Roberto, they knew what was going on, before the rut. Once the rut kicked in, though, it was like, we get a picture here and there on a camera. He's here.
Yeah.
And it's sort of just a free-for-all. There's some things you can do, but now the patterns are just all out of whack.
No, it's mayhem. That's what it is. They literally have lost all sensibility. That's why the rut's awesome.
Right.
Rut hunting elk, that's my favorite thing.
But the chess match is sort of out the door. And now it's just a game of odds.
There's days I'll call in 20 330 class bulls to one that breaks 360.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking for 360. So the next day I have to call 20 more or 10 more it gets monotonous and old, and I love the rut.
But you hate it.
But if you're hunting for inches, I hate it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does. It makes perfect sense. I think that's interesting. And so I've mentioned this to Corey Jacobson, quoted you, and he's just like, yeah, I don't care. I'm not interested in killing a bull that I don't call. And there's a lot of guys that are that way. And there's a certain fascination with calling a bull and having it charge in without a doubt.
On the same note, Corey is just as happy. And if I was hunting Idaho, it'd be the same way. I'd be just as happy with an archery 330 as a Southern Utah 380. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to lie. I love that. And Corey's that way.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not hunting Idaho. I'm hunting premium Southern Utah.
Right.
It's different.
Right.
And he might employ some of the same tactics if he was forced locked down into the kind of situation I'm in.
So, just throwing this one at you. Private property or public land?
Whitetail or elk?
Whitetail.
I've never hunted public land whitetail. No, that's not true. In Virginia, I did maybe 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's been a long time.
It's kind of a trick question or a strange question.
Even when you go back east, it's different, though. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know where you'd find public land. I'd have to really start working into it.
I think the guys at the Hunting Public, Aaron Warbritton and those guys, they're showing people how it's done.
Oh, no, there's some cool guys on Instagram that are strictly hunting public land.
They're crushing it.
On Instagram and doing very well.
On public land.
It's pretty cool to
even
see.
Though, yeah.
But I don't have time to drive to Nebraska.
Yeah.
And check cameras every 3 or 4 weeks. I'd rather pay for that lease, keep the other hunters out of there, and just show up and kill one every year.
Right.
And I think, and I hunt those deer like Corey does elk. Mm-hmm. I'm just as happy with a 130 with my bow, as I am a 160.
Yeah.
I don't care. They're rutting. If I call them in, it's like your heart. And this is the thing about whitetails, right? Mm-hmm. So here, when I'm chasing mule deer, elk, it's a chess game. You already know it. Even if it's during the rut, it's you call them here. You try to come in this way. The wind swirls. You back out. You come in over this way. Even when you're 10 feet away, there's times where you got to pull back. In my mind, I don't get excited. I'm constantly, even after the shot, second guessing which way I need to be. I'm on the ground with them.
Yeah.
Whitetails, when I'm stuck in a tree, it's Darwinism at its finest. Like, they have to mess up.
Yeah.
They have to walk this line. Their head has to go behind this tree. Everything kind of has to line up perfect.
Yeah.
It's on them. And so when I can't do anything, I'm tied to a tree just sitting there with my bow. Dude, my heart's pounding.
That's what I feel too. Like there's people, I feel like ambush hunting, tree stand hunting like that. There's a different kind of excitement that comes from it.
Yep.
Different than being on the ground.
Agreed.
Or at least just
and I think
stalking.
I think, my hunters, I do a lot of tree stand hunting here, which is a lot different than a lot of guys do.
Right.
MJ was killed in a tree stand. They have that same heart pound moments, I mean,
there's a certain amount of skill that goes involved in predicting where a deer is going to be, being there, and then being patient enough to sit there quietly. And I've been on hunts with guys. We could sit in the same tree stand. They will see no deer that day, and I'll see 10 deer that day because I don't move a muscle.
Yeah.
Like
I move my head. I'm on pivot the whole time.
Like I'm, and that's a skill,
it totally is.
There's a certain, but that same guy might get on the ground and just be a killer.
Yeah.
But I like it all, but I do especially like the chess match that I feel is engaged with whitetail. Mm-hmm. With elk, so often I'm hunting like this year I hunted all over the counter, all public land hunts for elk. And each one of those hunts, you're running into other hunters. They might get pushed from here 8 miles over to here. Mm-hmm. It's just you're calling to locate, then you're bombing in on them, and then you're trying to pressure them to come towards you. Or it's a really tough game on public land, especially if it's a high pressure public land area.
Right. And that's key. So I had some questions about Chunky, and we can go into them, but that's key to my hunt with him.
And for people who don't know, Chunky Monkey is a bull.
A freak bull.
A freak bull. That hammer coming off his head is unreal. How thick is that thing?
I don't know.
It's like that thermos, that Yeti thermos right there.
It's pretty gnarly looking. And his beams are about this big. So I've held his shit. Maybe a little bit bigger.
He's all
his
mass.
Left beam. He's all mass. That's why we call him Chunky Monkey.
Because he doesn't have a lot of tine length, does he?
No, he has really good tine length.
Does he?
He doesn't have beams. The only thing he's missing is beams.
Beams, yeah.
Yeah, he's only got 50-inch beams. Or seems like one's 49, one's 51.
But see, he is so freaking unique. Why do you think no one's killed him yet?
Because we haven't tried. So this was our first year we tried. I had a hunter come in that I didn't have time to guide. Mm-hmm. Told him I couldn't do it. I said, look, I have a couple bulls you can go chase. I already have tree stands in place. Come and do this. Like, I'll tell you where to sit and how to do it, and you'll kill him. I had him on rotation, had everything clicking, coming in every 2 and 3 days. Mm-hmm. In fact, opening morning, he was less than 100 yards from the stand. They could hear him kicking around. Like when I got to the stand and dropped them off, opening morning, I checked the camera. He had been in there 2 hours prior. Got him up in stand. The problem is, so the way to get the wind right to come into that stand, it was almost a 2-hour hike.
Okay.
Because if you come in the easy way, the wind's at your back, right where he beds. So you had to come in from this nasty burn. I had it all flagged. It was a ton of work. Went in, cut trees, had a whole path cut with chainsaws. And they get up in stand. Well, 30 minutes into the light, they could hear him. He was feeding not too far away. And obviously he bedded down. He stopped. And they thought, well, maybe he'll get up in a while. They're going to stay in stand. Then these two guys came down the easy trail. Half hour into light. Continued to set up a tree stand right next to my hunters.
Did he see him?
But when he was coming down the trail, they heard the bull take off running. Sounded like a tree fell over. Then they didn't see him again. So they polled on day 4 or 5. I told him to stay. He'd be back, but they didn't want to.
Right.
They polled and went and hunted another bull that scored better. Probably a 390 type bull. Never had any shots at him. Day 8, day 10, day 11, they could have killed Chunky a couple times over, but they didn't stay.
Yeah. So on an earlier podcast, you mentioned, because we did the Big Bulls, How to Kill Big Bulls podcast early, like August, September timeframe. We published those. Mm-hmm. So folks that are listening, I mean, you dropped a lot of elk hunting knowledge at that point, kind of your style. But one of the things you mentioned there was how you from all the cameras and all the sort of reconnaissance, like scouting that you've done, you know that at least at that point, they have their core areas they want to be. Mm-hmm. And that bull might leave, but he's like in a circuit. He'll come back to that spot. It's sort of like Eric Chester in that fire bull. Mm-hmm. He shot that bull in that meadow. And then what Eric do? He just stayed there until that bull, same bull.
9 days later, same trail, same shot.
Came right back to the exact same spot he was, and he shot him that time, made a better shot.
Yep. And I mean, a week later, it might not have happened. The fact that he had the first shot in the first couple of days, second shot was before Labor Day. He was still in his summer pattern, even though he'd stripped. Like, he's still kind of moving his thing. After Labor Day, it's game over.
It's over. So he just caught it. Mm-hmm. But that circuit is what you're talking about, sort of like with a whitetail as well. Mm-hmm. They're very patternable. You're tracking them using game cameras and sign.
Because I can't glass.
It's too thick.
Yeah, where I'm
in a
at,
plateau.
I can't glass very well, yeah.
So you're able, it's a lot like hardwoods, whitetail, in the Midwest or East Coast, where it's thick. So you're doing that, and to know that's the same thing with Big Sexy. I shot him that night. He was a mile away that morning,
right?
Or at least like at 12, he was a mile away. No, yeah, something like that. So, but he came through on this circuit every few days. even during the rut, he was one of those bucks that sort of still stayed somewhat on a circuit. Like as soon as he got that doe, I think he was locked down for a few days. And then as soon as he was like, okay, time to find another one, he went on his circuit.
Yep.
And he tended to, at about 5 o'clock, just before the end of shooting light, he tended to walk down this trail and check this one area for does. It's a ridge line, right? It's a little saddle. And I think he just ran the ridge for does, checking the wind.
They do.
And then he popped down into the saddle and he cuts through that saddle and goes down through the circuit. The goal was for me to be there right at last light just before dark. That's where he'd go. And you could see him, they could see him on like 5 cameras leading up to that spot. They had watched him for 2 years and they kind of figured out he likes to go here. Then we'll see him here and we see him. And
that's what it takes.
They pieced together his route using those cameras.
It takes a few years.
And once they had him figured out, they're like, okay, this is the spot to kill him in. This is where the wind is good. This is the spot. And then I just happened to take advantage of
their knowledge,
their hard work.
That's why I tell people all the time, hire a guide. Everyone gets upset. Like, do your DIY hunts. And I'm like, that's fine. But if you waited 20 years or you paid 10 grand or whatever it is, hire a guide.
Well, and it goes down to like back to the private property, public land thing. When you put in for a unit for 20 years and you draw a tag, you've paid your dues, right? But it's cost you, I don't know, it depends on the state, 20 years, a couple $1,000s to apply.
Well, and how many days on the computer filling out your information?
Yep.
Depositing your money, getting your money back.
But those
it's always a hassle.
Units that are managed like that for those kind of years of waiting, they're not unlike a $10,000 private land hunt.
No.
I mean, you're basically kind of, it's public land, but it's not an OTC tag or even a 1.2 point tag. It's not a high pressure.
You still have over the counter hunters, like you still get spike hunters and deer hunters.
Yeah.
And it's all public land. And that's, and that's where we were going was I was like, Chunky's not dead because 1, a couple guys screwed me over on him. 2, my hunters didn't stay in stand.
Yeah.
Kyle killed MJ because he sat there for 19 days. When he screwed up on day 6 and the bull was out, he knew he had 10 days. Yeah. And then when he showed back up on day 16,
he was there.
We just could not get him in the right position with the wind. We'd set him in one stand because we knew the wind was coming this way. Well, that's the way the bull would come. He wouldn't have a shot. 3 different days he had him under 100 yards, but still too far for a shot. So finally we're like, screw this. We only have 2 more days before he's back out for 10 days and we're hosed. So we took a risk, put him in a blind with an ozonics in a pinch point, and it worked out perfect. I mean, seriously, I think the next day it game over. It's just like Big Sexy.
Yeah.
You knew where he was going to be. It took years to figure that out. It took him 2 years, right? MJ was same for me. I watched him for 6. We hadn't hunted him till Kyle. But on the 6th year, I was like, well, I know where to go. It's just a matter of which corner of this football field do we want to sit.
Yeah.
So
that talks about, let's bring up sort of this situation using technology, since that's a hot button.
It is with us a little bit, isn't it?
Because you're using these game cameras and they're helping you tell the story. Whitetail hunters use them all over the Midwest and in the East, and it seems to be okay with whitetails because they're like rabbits. They're everywhere. And, it's
America's big game poster child.
Yeah. And so socially acceptable, let's say, to use a camera to pattern a whitetail and kill it. I wouldn't say it's really negatively looked upon, but there are people who seem to really hate and despise game cameras.
They're there, aren't they?
What are your thoughts on it?
We've discussed this before, but I still feel like whatever's within the legal bounds, they capitalize on it. It's just like our garments. If it's legal, why add this motion in?
The Garmin Zero.
Why do this?
Why do the rangefinder movement?
Yeah, it's the same thing. You're still ranging. You're hitting a button. There's a process, but
you're skipping.
That's it. Like,
the range,
I don't know
the
what people are so
handheld
mad
rangefinder
about.
to the
to
the eyeball.
Everyone, it just makes it easier. No, it doesn't make it easier. It's still hard. It's still there. It's, in fact, like I can't shoot 100 yards with a Garmin. I think I max out at 80.
Yeah.
Not that I shoot whitetails and elk can never shoot over 50. Like that's my feelings, personal feelings, right? Mule deer, I probably take a few more risks.
Yeah.
But whitetails, duck, elk are big. You need the energy. Mm-hmm. So you never want to shoot long range. And I don't hunt muleys often. So yeah. I'm good. 80 yards is great.
Yeah, there's the pros and cons to it.
But trail cameras, it's within legal bounds. Why not? A lot of people who get mad about it are the guys who hunt areas they can glass. I had a big conversation with Trevor Marks years ago, 10, 12, something years ago.
Yeah.
Because he was so anti-game camera. And after a half hour of back and forth with him, I was like, dude, you don't understand. I can't glass.
Yeah.
I don't hunt country that you can glass. And I can chase them on the rut just like you can. It's fun. But, dude, you get on ridges and you glass for days till he shows up.
And you pattern him. Yeah.
So I just rely on the camera's trigger. I still have to do all the work. Mm-hmm. I still travel to every camera. I don't have service. I can't use cell cameras. Well, except for in 2 spots. But, I mean, 2 spots out of 120 cameras in 37 miles, right?
Yeah.
It's what I have to have.
It's in some ways, there are areas in Alberta or British Columbia where if you were to spot and stalk black bears, you wouldn't be able to harvest
ever
very many because it's so thick,
and
flat,
too loud to walk.
Yeah,
and bears are on ground. They're smart.
Yep,
they don't without bait stations. People can get mad that hunting over bait with bears, and I think
that generally though that comes from someone who hasn't tried it otherwise.
Right.
It's from, like you said, a guy that is used to being able to glass the whole time. If you put him in this other area, then maybe the game camera thing is a whole different.
It's just like I say with Corey, he's good at what he does in Idaho. He's killed 380 bulls. He's killed 330 bulls, and he loves every single one of them.
Yeah.
Shift his area a little bit. Put him in an area like mine. Have every hunter waited 20 years to kill him. He might shift his game up just a little bit.
Yeah. For me, I find game cameras fascinating, just from a understanding wildlife perspective, a biology perspective. The whole point of me is to try to understand nature a little more. But I'm not some native person that doesn't have a job, or that I'm not. This isn't 300 years ago when I was killing with a stick bow that I handmade, and I don't have the time to dedicate to the animal husbandry and the skills. It allows me to use technology to bridge the gap somewhat, where I can learn what an animal's personality is, what their behavior is. And I learned more running cameras after blacktail in Oregon, in the Northwest, about deer and whitetails. I think that's why I have a natural love for that big game animals, because it's so similar to 10, 15 years of hunting blacktails in the Northwest in my backyard.
Cameras are like Christmas.
Yeah. Like, to be able to go and go, holy cow, look at that. And then over the course of, like you said, 5 or 6 years with MJ, figure out what he does. Yeah. And then realize that he is the exact opposite of this other bull that you watch that does something completely different. But that whole thing, to me, is rewarding. Figuring out that animal is rewarding. And yes, you're using technology to do it, but you're still only harvesting the set amount of tags that are available for the unit. And
it's not like no one else are chasing these bulls.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like with Chunky. Like, had those guys not messed him up, we probably would have killed on day 1 or 2. But because of the way they entered, because they didn't have they hadn't chased him for years. They didn't understand the process. I lost out. It's public land.
Yeah.
But because I have the technology and the information, it's different. It changes your game. And it doesn't make it easier. It just gives you more information.
Yeah. I mean, there is there's a lot that's, whenever you get into the technology debate, it gets all messed up and twisted. And And but I feel the same as you. If it's legal, by all means, do
capitalize.
Capitalize. Use however you want. I'm mostly interested in a clean, efficient kill.
Well,
an ethical, clean kill.
That goes back to our bear debate a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why I try to tell people, like, if you had to be on the ground, sneaking through those dark timbers in Canada, when you do see a bear, if you ever got the chance, they're on high alert, trying to make a clean, efficient kill with a bow on a bear on the ground with all the foliage.
You also don't know if it's a sow or a boar.
Right.
And then you don't, and you really don't. It's so difficult to judge a bear. But then you also don't know if it's a sow with 2 cubs in the bushes that you just haven't seen yet. Mm-hmm. And you need to make a decision to shoot or not now, because they're about to walk out of the tiny opening you happen to have. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like, you end up with a lot of it's not a good way to manage bears. It's not a good way to harvest bears.
You're going to cause more wounding. You're going to cause,
you'll probably kill more sows with cubs.
I understand why people get upset. But it's like we've talked about before. They haven't thought the whole process through. If there's a more effective way to do it that allows you cleaner, quicker, easier kills with the best decision-making possible, like the sow information.
Yeah.
Why throw that away because you feel like I don't know. Yeah. I get weird about everyone like
I said, it goes back to me like ethical, clean kill. If we can achieve that, beyond that, I do care about tag allocations and hunter opportunity. I want us to have as many chances to hunt as possible.
Absolutely.
If by allowing game cameras, all of a sudden harvest rates, skyrocketed, and now they have to hand out fewer tags per unit, then maybe you take those away during the hunting season, right? Yeah. So that you can hand out more tags. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like a lot of the technology that is being used is pushing harvest rates up. And
it depends. I really do. Like, there's areas in Nevada I know people are killing more because of game cameras. They know what water sources they're hitting more often. It's more desertous. Arizona can be the same way. Southern Utah can be the same way. But if I look at like my area in particular, it's almost comical. There should be no debate, because if you look at statistics on harvesting a 6-year-old plus bull that I know is 6+ years, our state, I've had bulls that I know were only 9. I mean, I watch these bulls. I know every single one of them year after year after year. Come back with harvest reports at 14 years. I've seen this bull when he was 3. I know which bull he is. Mm-hmm. The thing is, I watch these guys come in, and every year these guys have waited 20 years and they don't want to cash out for a guide, and they want to do it themselves. Statistically, their odds of success on anything over 350 is 1 in 30. And anything over 370 is twice that. Every year, one guy gets lucky. Brian Schiller killed that bull downstairs. And Brian, he made a good play on him, obviously. Mm-hmm. But he walked in on a bull he knew nothing about. Took him a couple days, figured it out, killed him. Good plan, figured it out, did the job. There's only one of those a year. And last year, I'm not even sure we had one on that unit or the neighboring unit. I don't think there was one. Whereas the year before there was one, and the year before that was Brian, and he was the only one. And the year before that, let's see, that would have been 15. God, I'm telling you, there's only 1 in 70 guys every year, and sometimes 1 in 140, because that year nobody did, like this year.
Yeah.
Whereas on the guide side of it, whether it's me or Wade Lemon or the Tines Up guys helping somebody, their odds skyrocket. Yeah. Because these guys have years of knowledge on these bulls. They know where they're going. I know these bulls inside and out.
Right.
Your odds skyrocket.
Well, see, and to me, it's like when it comes to, is it the technology that's helping a guy kill those? Absolutely. Because you're using game cameras, where that animal goes. But how many guys...
There's still guys running trail cameras. In fact, the year MJ was killed, the wallow, so the one wallow, I've got him on years and years and years and years of patterning him. Mm-hmm. I have this one spot he just hits. Well, one outfitter got him on that same spot. There's probably 3 or 4 cameras that are always there. One outfitter got him, and then he let slip to another guy where this bull was at. I walked in a couple weeks before the hunt, and there was 28 cameras on this one hole. 28 trail cameras. And it's no bigger than this office. Like it was unreal. What's crazy, what was fun for me is that I had cameras on the trails going in and out, not just on the wallow like all these guys had. It was funny to watch MJ come in, lift his head, turn around, take 2 steps back and turn around, walk off. And not one picture that year came off that wallow.
Yeah. Too much pressure.
Too much pressure.
You figured it out.
Yeah. And so it was cool because I'm like, well, I don't need to worry about it there. I'll get him down here.
I feel like if you really look at technology and harvest rates, I think in the rare cases, the technology increases harvest rates. I think that it definitely we can kill a little more having Onyx maps, knowing where private and private boundaries are, having Google Earth, having game cameras. They certainly help you. Radios, you name it, right?
As simple as radios.
Even as simple as crossbows. Right? Crossbows seem to be more efficient at killing than a bow does. You know, there's fewer points of error. You can rest a crossbow on something. There's no shaking. It's like a gun, you know?
There's no back tension. There's
Nope. You're not sitting there shaking at full draw.
No torque. There's no, riser torque. There's no, I mean, it's just click, bang.
Yep. And so you have these techs and so I feel like there are certain technology that is going to increase the harvest rate. For example, we know this from like crossbows. You put crossbows into an archery only season and harvest rates skyrocket. We've seen it in some Midwest states, some Eastern states where it's
Whitetail
legal.
country,
in Whitetail country, they've seen it. And the bow hunters are like, all of a sudden their tag allocations have dropped 40%, you know, and they could get a tag there every year, or you could tag $2 a year. Now you're getting one tag or no tags every other year.
Yeah.
So in that case, I'm like, okay, we have just damaged hunter opportunity. The whole point of a primitive weapon season is to allow a greater number of people the opportunity to pursue an animal.
Right.
That's it. It's just an opportunity. You get your chance, I get my chance. We agree that when we go into this, that we're going to use a certain level of weapon, certain level of technology in order to do that. That technology we agree upon, and we're okay with it because we want the opportunity to pursue. That's why we have gun hunts that are like where you just know, okay, I got to put in for 9 years and then I can draw this gun hunt, because it's pretty much guaranteed when you get that tag. Where these primitive weapon hunts are not built that way. So when you start introducing too much technology into a primitive season, yes, you could potentially have a
higher success
and
lower
opportunity. And that sort of is counterproductive for what that season was made for.
Opportunity could be looked at as age class too. Like lower opportunity because your age class has gone down. I don't know. It's hard to say what the right and wrong answer is.
That's when I was saying there's two things at play. Is the other thing is opportunity, you know, when I employ technology and, you know, and I'm using, let's say, a game camera, and I'm using, like in Ohio, I'm shooting Big Sexy or a El Paso or another buck that we're after that's on that shooter list, or a buck of that caliber, that age class, or I'm not shooting anything at all.
Right. And it's not like you all killed. You were there with 4 guys or 5 guys?
We were there with 4.
And one of you killed.
One. And the week before, there was 4 and nobody killed.
Right. But the opportunity was still there. The hunt was still good.
Oh, everybody could have tagged out.
Right.
But not on
the age you wanted.
The age we wanted. And that was the one thing I was going to say is, in the area of game cameras, there are a certain number of guys out there that because they have a photo of a certain animal on camera or of a certain age class of animal, they're going to go home empty.
Right.
They're going to go home with that animal or no animal.
Mm-hmm. I don't even carry binoculars because if a bull comes in, he's under 100 yards, and I know which bull he is. I don't have to have binoculars. I know them all. It's very rare some elk walks in and I'm like, holy crap, what's that bull?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen for me.
Yeah.
And whitetail country's the same. I just hunt a little different.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said before, MJ, 27 cameras in one spot. At least 4 of those were 4 other outfitters. Mm-hmm. And at least 3 or 4 do-it-yourselfers.
Uh-huh.
I didn't have any problem killing MJ.
What I experience is a lot of people feel like you're ruining the purity of hunting when you put 120 cameras out in the woods, right? You ruin the purity of hunting when you use a Garmin Zero. You're ruining the purity of hunting when you use... It seems that
radios.
It's okay. Yeah.
Onyx.
Seems like we have a blind eye toward, optics. Like, you can have a $6,000 spotter that's state of the art. Like that, I would argue kills more animals by far, especially older age class animals, than any other tech that we own.
Well, the optics allow the opportunity.
Optics are incredible.
But
but again, it's tech, right? Mm-hmm. All of that technology, I feel like we sort of have a blind eye for certain stuff, and we accept
some stuff's okay.
Stuff's like totally
some
okay.
cams are okay.
Yeah. It's weird. Like, it's weird how people pick and choose.
I watched a hunting show, and I think I might have even told you this. I about Elvis'd my TV. I was so pissed. I watched this guy shoot a bull 1,280 yards, 408-inch bull. It was unreal, giant bull. But they're sitting on this ridge, and they're all glassing, and the guy starts getting his gun out and starts squaring away, and I'm going, wait, is he really going to try shooting that? I mean, dumped him one shot.
Yeah.
I'm not mad about it. I got over it, but I had to think about it a long time. That's not hunting to me.
Right.
It's just not. That's killing, and that's okay. That guy, he was within his bounds. They allocated the tag. They needed animals harvested. Mm-hmm. He figured a fast, efficient way to do it. He was within the legal means. He did what he's got this giant bull at home now.
But see, now you've ruined the purity of hunting.
Right.
And so to me, I feel like this is a rabbit hole. The whole discussion on the purity of hunting is a rabbit hole. I have this book right here, The Fair Chase, and this other one, Beyond Fair Chase, by Jim Posowitz. I'm about to read that and break it down. But for me, at the end of the day, and I'm very curious about these subjects, and I want to dive into this. And believe me, I have my idea of what the purity of hunting is, and I have a goal when I go out. But I feel like that is so subjective, from human to human to human to human, and from person to person, that I'm projecting my moral viewpoint on the world. I'm projecting my ideals onto someone else. Uh-huh. For example, I don't like it that you bait bears.
Yeah.
Well, or that you hunt cats with dogs. Like, why are you hunting cougars with dogs?
I don't like Lutherans. Like, dude, you're just taking away someone's freedom. When you're judging that person based on how they get things done, you're taking away somebody's freedom. And I'm with you. I think it's more to do with opportunity.
I think if you keep it clean and you break it down to, does it enable you to make a quick and clean and efficient kill?
Yep.
And if it does that, and then if it doesn't have a negative impact on the environment, like I can make a clean and quick.
That tag was allocated. Like, there's no negative impact. They needed that bull harvested.
Right.
That one or another one.
Yep. And it's not the situation where you're fishing with dynamite, because that can be a clean and quick and efficient kill.
It can.
But it can have a very negative impact on the environment.
It's just like,
I think those things have
4 fish instead of 1.
Yeah. So I think that has to be lined out. Mm-hmm. The last thing is just hunter opportunity. These hunts, certain seasons and dates and zones are established to give maximum opportunity to hunters to get out and pursue.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. And if you're introducing technology into those special season zones and dates, then
you're going to skew it.
Mm-hmm. And in that case, set up your guidelines in your Fish and Wildlife Department that says, we're not going to allow a technology into this zone or this season on this species because it enables too great of a harvest rate and reduces hunter opportunity. So like crossbows to me are a perfect example of if you have had an archery only season and you hand out 800 tags every year for the last 10 years, and now you're handing out 400 tags, you made a mistake. You need to restore hunter opportunity, and you need to create a crossbow only season.
Yeah.
And lump it in there with muzzleloader. I'm not saying you should ban crossbows. I'm saying put them into the appropriate season that safeguards hunter opportunity.
And regulate their tags rather than all of archery hunters.
Exactly.
Like, if we've got to reduce tags because the technology is more effective, let's not take away their freedoms. Let's give them their space as well.
Exactly. So,
right.
Exactly. So that's all I'm saying is don't take it out of the archery only season because it really skews the hunter opportunity. Put it into like the muzzleloader season. Let's say they're both efficient out to about 100 yards, both weapons, the way that they're like some states are iron sights only for muzzleloader. Put the crossbow in there with that one. Who cares?
Yeah.
And if harvest rates are, and naturally because of the weapon being more efficient, they often restrict those tags. But if you want to hunt with a crossbow, then you need to wait in line.
Yeah.
Because your weapon's too efficient for the more primitive season.
I agree.
In Oregon, they have traditional bow only units. They have a couple traditional bow only. You can only hunt that unit ever with a trad bow. Great. They have a zone and an area set up strictly for that. And if you brought a compound into that, you would then reduce the tag allocations available for that specific hunt.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense. You set that up for that specific reason. I'm not saying ban the tech. And if the zero, I'm just saying move it in another season. If the Garmin Zero upped harvest rates by some dramatic amount, I'd be like, yep, put it into a different season. Put it into your muzzleloader season. Put it into whatever. But the knee-jerk reaction to every new tech is we've ruined hunting.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, it's like
lighted nocks, Bluetooth nocks.
Exactly.
2-blade versus 3-blade broadheads.
Mechanical broadheads versus fixed.
Cams, carbon risers. Everything new gets a hit on. Everyone gets pissed about it.
And so for me, I'm like, let's just look at harvest rates. Did harvest rates exceed the amount when the new tech was allowed? And if it does,
I agree.
Then revisit it
Look
as
at
a game and fish
harvest
department.
rates versus opportunity, and then
I feel like it fits every scenario because new people are like, hunting's going to disappear. And, where do we draw the line on tech? Easy. Does it increase harvest rates to the point you lose tags?
Yeah.
Then don't put it in that season. Put it in the rifle season.
Or create a new season.
Create a new season for that group of people who want that.
Limit their days and limit the tags to them. They still have, if they want to go back to a compound bow, great.
Yeah.
That, there's more opportunity.
And we can debate all day then on whether or not that zero is such a game changer that all of a sudden I'm going to tag out 9 out of 10 hunts instead of 50-50.
Did you kill Big Sexy with your zero?
I did.
Yeah.
And I probably wouldn't have killed him without it.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, I probably would not have killed that buck without it. So all week I've been getting pinned by deer every time I moved or breathed in that stand.
Yeah.
It was last night. I probably had 5 minutes to shoot, maybe 10. Buck walks out of the tree line and sucker looks right up in the tree. I don't know if he'd smelled me earlier in the week or whatever, but he kind of had a feel. But I had put the tree stand another 15 feet higher. So he's looking at where I was earlier in the week, and he didn't see anything there. If he had really crooked his neck, he probably would have seen me up higher, maybe. But whitetail, I can't explain them. I just know that he walked out and then checked the tree.
Yeah.
Looked at it for a while, and I'm frozen. I got the bow in my hand.
Dude, whitetail, I've seen him check out trees that have no stands in them. Sit there and look.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
what are you looking at?
I think he came downwind of me earlier in the week. A few times I'd seen deer do that. And at about 40 yards behind my stand, my scent would hit the ground. Uh-huh. You could check it with a little milkweed, and they would smell me right there, and they could look right into the tree. It's like I think that their nose, they can tell. It's like if you could see wind
Yours would too. They live out there. That's their survival instinct. Elk are the same way. Like my elk can see me. They can look at me and you away. Yeah. And they won't run, but if they smell me, they're gone.
But see, it's like they know the smell is coming from above them.
Yep.
Versus from the ground.
Elk are the same way.
It's unreal.
No, if you live in that environment, when I'm out on the mountain for 50-something days, I'm the same way.
You start to smell.
No, I'll walk around a ridge and, oh crap, there's elk over there. Because I'll smell them.
Yeah.
The wind's in my face. I'm like, okay, we got to back out. Let's
and
move
I
back
can do that too. I just can't do it like they
can.
But
if you lived out there, you would.
Well, when we were around down that, he came out. I think he looked there because he had smelled something there before. Right. And maybe he even put eyes on me and I didn't know.
Right.
But he looked. And then he's like, I don't see anything, but I'm going to wind check this tree. And so he walked through the trees way behind me. And I didn't know if he was going to come back out, right? I thought, oh, crap, he's going downwind. But now my tree stand's like 40 feet in the air. When I used the milkweed before, it was going out like 90 yards before my scent hit the ground.
Yeah.
So he came about 40, 50 yards behind me, and my scent's still drifting over the top of him. He decided that there was nothing there, checked it. You know, he'd smelled me there earlier, probably. That's why I think he didn't show up a couple of times, because he showed up and got me. It's so thick you can't see. I just happened to get a glimpse of him before he circled. So then he just makes he comes behind me, doesn't smell me, makes a hard right, and he steps into a 15-yard window of shooting, and then once he's past that, he's gone. I came to full draw, put the 0 on him as he was walking. As soon as I could, right? And I got my pin, stopped him one more step, and he'd have been behind a tree, and I couldn't have shot him. He stopped.
But you would have had that hole ranged already.
Yeah, I could have come to full draw, but I didn't. You don't know exactly where he's coming, and at that height, he was almost straight down under me.
Yeah,
it's so much different. Has single pin accuracy versus a 20-yard pin at 16 yards at that angle. I'd had to aim low. Yeah, you know, and I kind of it would have been a little
skewed,
little trickier. Where this allowed me to like not even think about it. I might have had a rangefinder ready. You know, there's a lot of things that
like when I whitetail hunt, and that, you know, this isn't my first rodeo. I had a couple comments on that thing about now that you've hunted the Midwest. Yeah, like, dude, I've been hunting whitetails a long time. But you know, when I get in tree stand, this is before Garmin, I have every tree flagged.
Yes,
and I hunt with multiple pins. Because of that reason.
Me too.
Like, so I already know, like, this is a red pin, yellow pin, green pin.
Yep.
And that's all I do in my tree stand for the first 15 minutes. Oh, red pin. Oh, yellow pin.
Not just the 15 minutes. I do it all week.
Well, yeah, but you get to where you know it inside and out. You would have had
that's 10 yards, that's 20 yards, that's 30 yards.
I say the same thing about that deer I shot this year. Could I have shot him without my Garmin? Yeah, because I could have, in Illinois, you can use lighted pins.
Okay, so
however,
so here's the thing. Well, before you go there,
okay,
you're right. I could have shot this buck without the Garmin, for sure. I could have launched an arrow, for sure. Would I have center punched him, and would he have died in 3 to 4 seconds? Probably not.
Right.
I probably would have hit him a little bit higher, a little bit lower.
That was my entire point.
And he probably would have died still. It just would have been not as efficient. That's it. But you're right. You're right. I would have put my 20-yard pin. I would have aimed a little low, and that might have been enough. It might have been a little elevation. Might have been a little wrong.
And that was my whole point with asking, like, because mine was the same situation. I might have still killed this deer. However, he died a lot faster because of the Garmin.
Yeah.
Same thing. I had a small window. It was still pretty dark. That's why I say I have a light on my spot hog that lights up the pins, and they're legal in Illinois. I would have had that on. So I still would have killed him. Mm-hmm. You know, the Garmin lit up, which made it nice.
Yeah.
So I have a soybean field at my back. In front of me, I have a creek 120 yards out. And between the creek and the tree stand is like this just this pinch point. I mean, there's rubs and scrapes, and the deer had been all over it. It was amazing. But I didn't know it was my first time in the set. Mm-hmm. Well, I got in the ladder stand, I hung my bow, turned on the Garmin, put on my arrow, turned around to take off my pack, and out in the soybean field, I see this buck cruising. Put up my binoculars. I can't tell he's a buck other than he's walking like a pit bull. Mm-hmm. You know, those big bucks, they get these broad shoulders. It's so crazy. So I'm like, oh, that's a buck. I don't know what he is, though. I start getting my pack ready, and I thought, God, he's going the wrong way. I'm just going to throw a soft grunt out, see what he does. Hopefully it turns him and he feeds my way instead of going the wrong way. So I throw out this soft grunt, and that damn thing turned like on a dime and came running at me. And it was the softest grunt. I was like worried he didn't even hear it. And I was like, oh crap, like the stars are still out. I'm in trouble now. But it was far enough away. Like he worked his way in fairly slow. He hit this Egyptian grass that he had to walk around and then come under my stand. And I was able to see, he's a mature buck. Really strong 10 on the one side. I knew he was a good buck. I wasn't sure how good. Mm-hmm. But I just had this short window. Now, I already knew it. It was only 14 yards. I don't think I would have missed this deer.
Right.
Anyway, but however, the Garmin allowed that deer to die, and I think it was 6 seconds. I was further than yours. He turned around this bush, and I can hear, and I'm listening. I'm thinking, oh, crap, what deer did I shoot? Because he actually was a cull buck. I was hunting deer they wanted off this property. He was 7 years old. He was never going to break 170, so they wanted him out.
Right.
He was still 168.
Yeah.
He's huge, right?
Right.
But they wanted him gone.
Yeah.
I'm glad he was the deer I was supposed to shoot.
Yeah.
But, man, he died fast. And that's the only thing I can say about that Garmin was the fact that he died super fast.
Same for me, that when you look at the kill zone on that buck, it's actually not that big.
Especially when you're shooting straight down.
Yeah.
It's smaller.
Mm-hmm. The angles are different, right? And being off 3 inches up or down still kills that deer, but kills it maybe one lung. Maybe it takes longer for it to die. Maybe he goes 300 yards into the woods before he crashes, versus 3 to 4 seconds and he was on the ground. Mm-hmm. No doubt, single pin accuracy does that for you. If you have a sliding sight and you have the luxury of turning to a single pin, you can hit exactly, if you're a proficient shooter, you can hit exactly where you put that pin. It's unreal. Like that kind of accuracy you can achieve with today's compound bows.
Oh, for sure.
And that's something I mentioned before is, would I still kill that buck? Would I still shoot that buck? Yes. Would I kill it as efficiently? I don't think so. Where it does make a difference is when I was hunting BC for moose. Mm-hmm. I had a moose for 25 minutes bedded at 50 yards. Moose are a big target. They're like a 4x8 sheet of plywood. I just need it to stand up, and I'll kill this moose. There's a big evergreen tree between the two of us, like a spruce or something, and he is on the other side of it. I just need him to stand and walk like 6 feet to the right or left, and he's dead. That bull, the wind switches, he smells us, stands up, and starts walking directly away from me, keeping the tree between us.
Yeah.
I'm stuck on I can't move left or right. I don't have any room to get around the tree. Finally, when he comes clear of the tree, I have the rangefinder out because I know he's going to be at distance. I range him. And while I'm ranging, I'm like, oi, trying to get him to stop. Bull stops, turns broadside. I get my range. I dial my sight, full draw, turns, and he starts walking away. And I'm like, oi. And he stops, turns broadside again. What do, Ryan? Do you let down, range again, turn the dial? Do you hold the pin high, and take your shot?
On a target as big as a moose, you hold high and let it rip.
And brother, that's what I did.
Yeah. But on a whitetail or something small, mule deer at
It's
80
over.
yards,
game's
out.
I would have to let down. Do the whole thing again.
Hope he doesn't
walk.
Yep.
But how many guys, I can tell you, like most of the guys I've hunted with that are killers, they're taking that shot. They're aiming high and they're taking the shot.
Oh, yeah.
They're guessing the yardage.
Yep.
That's what bow hunting is often, is guessing yardage. If you're a trad guy, you're guessing all the time. You're not using a pin.
Yep.
You're just feeling it out. I put the pin high on his back. actually just at the top of his back, and figured I'm either going to hit low or I'm going to miss him. If either I'm going to probably hit him in the brisket or I'm going to hit him in the heart and lungs, right? Left and right, I felt confident on. It's just, am I going to shoot under him?
Yeah.
Right. I didn't want to shoot high. So I wanted it on the body. So I made the choice and I shaved his brisket. And he ran off. Now with the Garmin Zero, I'd have been at full draw the whole time he was walking behind that tree.
Yep.
And when he stepped out, I'd have been, oi, oi, oi. When he stopped, I'd have had a single pin.
Click.
And I would have let it go. When I got him to stop, he looked at me while I dialed. Right?
Yeah.
So now he stopped.
Right.
He looked at me draw.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, yeah, I don't like all that. And he started walking away. Now, if I had been at full draw and I was like, oi, oi, and he stopped, he'd have turned and looked and been like, what is that? I'd have just been stationary. I'd arranged him, got my pin drop. He probably would have just stood there still looking. And I would have executed a great shot and probably center punched him. It was, so I feel like on that particular hunt, I didn't bring the Zero. Had I had it with me, I probably would have killed that moose on that day. It would have been the difference between harvesting a bull and not harvesting a bull. But here's the deal.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have it, I took a shot that wasn't precise. And I'm glad I didn't wound him, but I could have. And anytime an archer rolls the dice and guesses, you're taking a chance with the shot. And that's just the facts. That's just how it goes.
That's why I asked you about your deer. I'm the same way. I hear people complain about that site, and I don't see it a lot on my posts like I do yours. But when I do read comments, they're just so ignorant because I just look at it for that very reason. I watch guys. Now, my hunters, if I look at my bow hunters, and that's mostly what I do is bow hunters, I've only had one that I can think of right now, maybe two ever, that have wounded a bull that we couldn't recover. One of them was Casey. Like, he's the one I can think of off the bat. He wounded Cinco. We couldn't turn him up. He is dead. Casey killed him. Wasn't a good shot. And I look at that shot, and it's like, no, that bull would have been dead. It would have been dead. He couldn't have taken the shot without having the pin in the right spot. He couldn't have even pulled the trigger. And because, the bull was screaming and he took 3 more steps and somebody was guessing, that's what happens. And I just think, why limit yourself? If you're not taking away opportunity,
tag allocations.
2 bulls were just harvested. Exactly. 2 bulls were harvested and they were within legal bounds. However, with the Garmin, there would only been 1. So these guys can complain, and I agree completely with you. Let's look at opportunity. Let's make sure we keep our checks and balances. However,
opportunity meaning
if this makes it more ethical, quicker, cleaner, what are you complaining about?
Well, I had a few guys write in and go, "Come on, Brian, give me a break. You're totally drinking the Kool-Aid if you don't think this will increase people's harvests." Well, I want to use it because I think it'll increase my odds on those cases like on that moose. I think it will increase that odd. But am I not going to take that shot? I did. I took the shot on the moose. And my point is like with Casey, same thing. Full draw, someone's guessing, you're both guessing yardage. It's your opportunity. You take it or don't take it. You gamble, right?
Right.
That's how archery hunting is. There are some guys who refuse to take a shot unless they have ranged it and they have a single pin and they have dialed exactly to it. They won't take that shot.
Right.
Most archers I know will take the shot because that's archery. It's guessing, being proficient at guessing. But at the end of the day, it was funny when Garmin took us to Texas. We had a bunch of archers there. Since then, I've done this practice with other guys. Let's go to the tack, right? Let's all guess. And some of these guys are great shots. It's all guess. They're right like 70% of the time, and the other 30%, they're way off.
If they're 70%, that's pretty freaking good.
They're in the kill zone.
Yeah.
Like say 70%. Some of these guys are good.
Yeah.
Other
I'm not
guys,
that way.
other guys are completely off,
Especially
and
at the tag.
even guys that have been shooting forever, right? So I feel like what you said with Casey is a prime example. If you can kill one bull instead of two, we should do that.
Right.
And I'm not arguing that it doesn't increase success rates. I think it will, incrementally, like in a small way, it will increase, but I think it will be offset by the decrease in wound rates. And I've said this a million times. Mm-hmm. So, for example, Casey wouldn't wound one, and on a 20-year wait for a tag, most 90% of the guys I know, and I'm one of them, I'm not ashamed to admit it, if I do my best within my ability to try to kill an animal, I shoot it and I don't find it, and I waited 20 years for that tag, I don't punch my tag in a state where it's legal.
I was going to say, if it's in a state that's legal, yep.
It's not legal in Alaska, my tag's done.
You draw blood.
You're done.
Yep.
There's a few states like that. 90% of them are not.
Right.
You get to keep hunting until you find your animal.
And if I just look at my area, when I'm down there guiding, I'm literally gone from August 15th to September 25th. I am I don't see my family. I am on the mountain the whole time. And most tag holders come into my camp. Everyone knows who DC is. Most people know where I camp. I get a lot of people coming through. And if I had to sit and think about over the years, all the guys stopping in at my camp, I would bet you 60% of them shot at least two bulls. So I look at it like, if we have some way to eliminate the guesswork to make the one bull more efficient, let's make it happen. However, it's going to help. It's going to help.
Well,
then maybe I am drinking the Kool-Aid. Maybe.
Well, you have people who I'm proficient.
I'm just looking at experience.
I'm proficient with a bow and arrow.
Right.
You give me a range and a single pin, I'm really good, especially 50 yards and in.
Especially if you have time to shoot.
Yeah. It's hard to miss with today's gear.
Uh-huh.
You give me a pin gap and you tell me to guess the distance. We're in a whole different realm,
especially on a live target.
And I can practice.
There's
all
difference
the time
between practicing on something stationary, having your time.
And a lot of guys would say, "Well, then Brian, you shouldn't shoot under 30 yards."
Yep,
you just shouldn't shoot under 30 yards.
They're not wrong.
And so, exactly. And so there's that element of it, and definitely harvest rates would go way down if every guy had to get to 30 yards or under. Mm-hmm. I mean, when it comes to the ethics of hunting in that regard, it's like we all need to do our best to make the most efficient shot on an animal. And if you can't make that shot, don't take it. But this is where I get hung up, Ryan. If I can make that shot 8 out of 10 times, should I take it?
Yeah.
If I can make it 7 out of 10?
You're within your means.
9 out of 10?
Legality.
Or should it be a 10 out of 10 every time? Nobody can do that anyway, especially on a live animal.
Especially in an area, the thing about bow hunting is it's never consistent. It's never the same. The trying to get the same shot opportunity year after year, even as something as stupid as whitetails.
Yeah.
Right? Like I can sit the same tree stand year after year after year. I have a tree stand I love in Nebraska, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I have this one trail, my first deer, maybe 8 or 9 years ago, 56 yards. And I always think, and I'll get deer cruising down that trail, but I've never once in the last 8 or 9 years had another mature buck take that trail and get that same shot again. And that's whitetail hunting in small drainages.
Yeah.
In Nebraska in the Sound Hills. You get in a bigger circle, you never get the same consistency. You will never have the same shot. Everything is different every single time. That's the joy and the agony of bow hunting.
And the truth is, 90% of the guys I know that kill animals every year that are really good hunters, they also wound animals every year.
Every year. And anyone who says they don't is lying. It happens, especially in bow hunting.
Well, and like I said, some of the best hunters I know, the guys that could, and this is even getting close. And so I'm not saying it to justify it. I'm just saying it's a reality of using primitive weapons to hunt. But I think it's a rabbit hole, though. I still think that we could get into all these arguments on, well, you should only shoot 20 yards or less, or 30 yards or less, or you shouldn't use a rangefinder. You shouldn't use. We should all be guessing.
We should all be wearing flannel like they did in the 20s.
Right. I feel like, you can sit here and we can pick apart like all the things on what the purest way to hunt an animal is, but at the end of the day, I think it just muddies the water. And like I said before, you're sort of interfering with someone else's ideas. So to me, it's like at this point, it's really simple. Like I said, does it increase, your efficiency as a hunter? Yes, we should look at it. Does it decrease
opportunity?
Does it decrease the number of tags we issue for a season? And if it does, then it's like, okay, we need to find a place for that tech to fit. If hunters want it,
we don't want to take away people's freedoms. We don't want to take.
And then I don't have to get into this debate.
Everyone's a different kind of specs.
Then I don't have to get into this debate on whether I should be using a handheld rangefinder or not, or using Onyx maps or trail camera.
Right.
Just look at harvest rates. Make sure people have hunter opportunity, and make sure we efficiently kill animals humanely. Outside of that, it's all just fist bump, like chest pounding, I'm more pure than you kind of discussion.
Yeah, that's our demographics, right?
But I feel like
we're all a bunch of alphas.
Well, and I do feel like like I said, I do think the site will increase some level of success. That's why I want to use it. That's partly why I want to use it. But mostly why I want to use it is I want to have a really efficient kill. I really do. I don't want to see an animal suffer. I want to see it die in front of me when I put an arrow through it. And, the smaller the target, I'm getting ready to hunt coos deer in Arizona. I'm going to hunt over water. You were just saying about, how twitchy a deer is. How close do you put that? Coos deer are about the twitchiest, jumpiest things I've ever seen in my life.
The size of a dog.
And they're tiny.
Yep.
Tiny. The size of like a lab. The kill zone is like the size of like a melon.
Yep.
Maybe.
And that's their lungs. Hearts, fist.
And so with a target that small at 30 yards, if you don't have single pin accuracy, good freaking luck, man, with a bow. So
I ate my Arizona tag this year. It expires today. I never went.
But that's what I think. I feel like if I didn't have that sight, the Garmin Zero, I'm still taking that shot. But like last year, I ranged and I dialed a lot because I just knew I needed that precision shot. And I didn't kill a buck. I had a lot of opportunities where with the Zero, I could have taken a shot and killed a buck, but without it, I didn't. Okay. Right. There was one shot I took that I missed because it was that situation where I ranged it, dialed, and then the animal moved and I had to guess. And I guessed off by like 3 yards and
luckily
just missed it.
You missed.
Missed it.
Yeah.
One thing about a shot like that when they're broadside, it's different ball game if an animal's broadside in your guessing elevation. Because in general, I feel like if you go through the chest cavity, in general, if you don't kill it, it survives. If you're guessing on elevation on an animal and you're taking a quarter and away shot, you just gave it a death sentence.
Yeah.
You hit too low, too high, through the guts to get to the vitals. So when I have guessed on elevation, which is part of what an archer does, you do your best at 3D, you practice all the time.
You do Texas, right?
I haven't done Texas. I've done PA and Big Sky and.
Well, it's just Texas. I don't shoot at vitals. I shoot under them.
Oh yeah.
Because every time they duck my arrow.
Yeah, I did Texas.
Whitetails in Texas. I aim for under them. That's where I put my pin. And if I miss, if they're not paying attention and I miss, I just miss.
Yep.
But 90% of the time, those animals duck your arrow every time.
You're aiming
and
off.
It slams into them.
Yep.
Archery is archery.
Yeah.
I mean, it just...
I recorded three does I shot in Texas at 240 frames per second to see. Mm-hmm. And I hit every deer, but I didn't hit every deer squarely. The arrow went exactly where it was supposed to, but the animal moved. They're so fast.
Yeah.
So after watching that in 3D or in slow motion, Casey and I and all, we were like, well, if he's going to drop that far, we need to aim off the animal. We need to actually aim under it, and then they'll drop into it.
Put it right at the brisket. Then they drop those 3 inches. Because that's about how fast their movement is. It's 3, maybe 4 inches tops.
Yep. At 30 yards and under.
You miss. Yeah. If you don't, dude, you center punch them right in the heart. Archery is archery. Like, I don't see that garment isn't going to change anything when I aim right below them on a Texas deer.
But I do feel like it will give me that single pin accuracy. So the elevation is just right. Yep. And so I like that. Do we decrease people's opportunity to hunt?
Yeah.
Safeguard that.
Dude, do we get rid of limited entry units and everything over the counter? Do we go back to our AR-301 tags? You probably don't remember those. In Utah, even like one of my favorite areas, the Boulder, was an AR-301 tag. You could draw that every year if you wanted. For archery only, that was an archery only unit. I had one friend draw the Dutton 3 years in a row, 380, 388, 394.
Yeah.
3 years. Mount Dutton, archery, killed 3 bulls.
Jeez.
That are better than Boone and Crockett. Unreal.
Yeah.
Like, and then they switched things up and made more tags and changed the opportunity. Now the age class is lower. The Dutton really hurts. Mm-hmm. I mean,
well, I think that's up to the people, the hunters and the fish and game that work together to build those kind of units and those opportunities. And, I've heard in Colorado, a lot of people have said, they wrote in on the post about the zero and they said, hey, Brian, harvest rates have gone up so high that they're reducing the over-the-counter opportunities in Colorado. They're taking them away now. And I was like, I looked into it some, and I haven't seen harvest rates. What I've seen is zero management on tag allocations. So there's an unlimited number of tags issued for an over-the-counter rifle hunt for elk in half the state. You do that without any management whatsoever, people are going to come in.
Their only management is 4 points or better.
Yeah.
Like, it's not.
And so
I know what you're saying.
You end up bombarded with so many people. I saw 27 people on the same hillside we were on.
Yeah.
On day one of the season.
Pumpkins everywhere.
When you're in that kind of hunt, I think some of what we're dealing with here in Colorado is I've been saying for a while, I wish you would like put quotas, limits on the number of tags sold for that area. Well, that tag is good for like 20 units or something. Well, how about you make it good for 1 unit? Make a guy pick where he's going to hunt.
Colorado has its units, but I mean, those are elk they do. But elk, Colorado has what, 120,000 elk? Mm-hmm. No, they're like 240.
Yeah, something.
Utah's like 80.
Yeah.
It's like 240.
Yeah.
Ridiculous amount of elk. They have to manage some of those units that way. Mm-hmm. But they still have their good units and their deer structure. I wish Utah would follow Colorado's deer management system.
Right.
Every unit's limited entry. There's only X amount of tags. It does take away opportunity, but man, look at the deer coming out of Colorado on a consistent basis. Look at Eric Chesser alone.
I agree.
Hush Boys hammered it last year.
I agree. But I think you're dealing, causation is, or correlation is not causation. Just because you see them starting to remove some over-the-counter opportunities and changing them to draw or changing them to a quota, that's not because people are all of a sudden way more successful. That could very much be to the fact that you have 1 million people that come to Colorado. It's the first state moving west if you're from the East Coast. It's the easiest one to get to.
Age class does reflect harvest objectives. Always does.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you're not going to get the age class of bucks that are getting killed without some kind of management like they do with the elk. Utah's open general season is the same way. I'll go down. I don't rifle hunt, but I'll go down and pull cameras October 20th. And I am it sickens me the amount of guys on one hillside.
Yeah.
That the deer don't have a chance, and there's no deer on that unit at all. Like, they are so scarce, it's ridiculous.
Right.
And I wish our state pulled that back a little bit and said, hey, like, what are our actual numbers here? And unfortunately, our state and Colorado might be the same, but we have a big mess with the cattlemen. We have a big mess with our mule deer. It's sad. And that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But I'm just saying, I don't think what Colorado's doing is wrong.
No, I'm not criticizing. I'm not saying it's, what I'm saying is the choice to change how they're managing certain units is not necessarily tied to an increased number of harvests.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that all of a sudden we've lost, people are so successful in those hunts. For example, let's say that you have 500 tags given out for this certain unit, right? Every year it's 500, and every year 100 bulls are taken, right? So you have a 1 out of 5 odds of that unit being, of you coming out with a bull in that unit, right? But because it's become more popular, more and more people are coming out west, more and more people are buying tags over the counter and trying their hand at it. Now you're selling 1,000 tags for that unit, right? And now you take 150 bulls out of it. Now, is that because people's technology increased, or is that because the number of people that went and threw their hand in the hat doubled?
Well,
I've seen more people every year in Colorado. Every year it's more and more and more.
But
in units I've been to, and talking to the people that have hunted there for the last 15 or 20 years, same thing. It's an upward trend of people, and I don't begrudge that. Like,
your age class doesn't change, and your statistics lower. Colorado's just making money because it still has a regulation on you have to be a 4-point or better. So their odds have gone from 1 in 5 to 1 in 15 to 1 in 25 to 1 in 50. And then people stop buying for those units and they start increasing again. Colorado's smart that way because they're taking in a lot of money and they've got to keep those numbers where they are in check.
Uh-huh.
I don't think the system's bad, and I don't think technology helps. They're still killing the age class of bull they want to kill.
So
opportunity went up.
But tell me this, why do they want to restructure that and start adding a limited quota to the hunt?
I don't know. Do they?
Yeah.
Oh.
They announced it.
Okay. I don't know.
They're in discussions.
Maybe they want an upper age class.
So your take on the Colorado situation where they're talking about reducing quotas.
I'm the blind. I don't know Colorado.
Yeah, I don't either.
It's just an uneducated guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they're doing out there with their elk. I just don't.
Yeah. I don't, all I'm saying is I don't think that hunters are becoming so proficient that we're all of a sudden losing opportunity.
You think we're losing opportunity because there's more hunters?
I think
you don't think they're harvesting more because of their long range guns?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know
either. So that's the technology debate, right?
Because we went to the unit and I was with a bunch of guys and it's the same harvest rates for us each year, about the same number of us tag out and the same number of us don't. And I haven't seen it.
Yeah. I don't hunt Colorado.
I don't know enough about that.
I just really believe, like, if it's in with the legal bounds,
mm-hmm.
Why limit yourself? Why hurt yourself? Why, man, if you can stop from wounding 2 animals and killing 1.
But you can do that. You'll get into this. This will go down a rabbit hole, dude, because you can do that by limiting your range. Let's say you shoot 30 and under only.
Yeah.
Let's say you decide to.
I just don't know. And I know a lot of hunters, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could name on one hand how many guys could say, yeah, I'm not going to shoot past 30 and legitimately do it.
Well,
everyone makes calculations. Everyone's like, I can shoot 60. That bull's 80. This is my only opportunity. I've waited 20 years. 20 years. 80 yards, I'm taking this shot. That guy can't shoot 80 yards.
Yeah. No, I'm
right.
I am in agreement with you because
I know you are.
Where the ideals are and then where the actual is, they're totally different. It's sort of like it goes back to, you can tell me what you believe, but I can look at your actions and know more about what you believe. You can tell me, you know, this, and this about what you believe in life. But
especially on the internet.
But what you actually do tells me more about what you do than your words.
For sure.
And we can all have these words about how we only take these shots and we never miss. But
I love my Garmin.
I love it too. I've said this before. If you just took out the rangefinder, because that seems to be everybody's contention, which I find a little bit, you know, it's like, okay, you've got a rangefinder to your hip and you bring it out, boop, in your range. You're talking about just having it bow mounted, which saves you that time, that precious second, and it keeps you from taking that guess on a shot after you've dialed up, you know, your shot. I mentioned this as I've had this discussion with people at TAC and stuff, and I talk to people about using a rangefinder. It's shocking to me how many guys will not take a shot unless they range it first. And if the animal moves, they're not confident in their ability to guess that they will re-range, and they miss out on some shots because of it, right? So you have this whole group of people though, and I'm like, well, why? Why are you not willing to guess? What's your big fear of not guessing the yardage? Why is it that you feel like compelled to use a rangefinder? And 90% of them say, because I really don't want to wound an animal.
Right.
I don't want to make a bad shot on an animal. I don't want to cause any undue harm to the animal. And then there's this minority of people that are like, well, I use it because, I want to extend my range. You know, I'm a good shot.
There's those guys. And
I can shoot further. With a rangefinder, I can be dialed. So, in that question of like, when I look at why I use a rangefinder, it's absolutely to extend my range. 100%. It's also absolutely so I don't wound an animal. They go hand in hand. Like,
yeah, they do.
They do.
But just like your 30-yard range, it's just like your whitetail this year. You know that hole was 16 yards. You still, with pins,
I would have hit it.
Been kind of guessing.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have died in 3 seconds. He would have died in 300 yards or a quarter mile.
Yeah.
Especially on a straight down shot. That's what happened to my whitetail last year. I was the same tree stand as you, 40 feet up. At 35. I was up there. When you're shooting straight down, dude, everything's skewed.
So weird. Because it's straight down and away. So when I got on
you gotta pick your poison. Spine, lung.
Yeah.
Or lung, heart, lung.
Well, and here's the thing, too. We could talk about this a little bit. This comes from shooting TAC as much as we do. Like, I tour all the TACs pretty much all summer.
Yeah.
Bring my family, go with buddies. I spend more time at the Total Archery Challenge now at various events than I do at any trade shows. They're more productive for me. They're more rewarding. It's a chance to get out, get some interviews.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's your demographic. It's fun. I love the TAC.
But I feel like, and this comes from practicing on 3D targets when I was in Oregon, because I would get up high for these blacktail. The first time I saw that was Cameron Haynes. He gets ridiculously high hunting blacktail in the Northwest, because those suckers smell you, man, and they're super cautious. And so I found like it was very effective. So he gets up really high, and you can also move around a lot more when you're that high. But a lot of guys that haven't shot steep angles before are really intimidated by the shot. But we shoot steep angles all the time. Like, we practice that stuff.
Yep.
Figuring out where to put the arrow is a skill. Like, where to put the pin, where to aim. And now it's like subconscious, where I aim for an exit hole. without even trying. Like it just, I've practiced it so much. I'm like, where do I want this arrow to exit? And after shooting at targets from an elevated platform on 3D and going, yeah, like if you just aim for the red dot, you could hit it, but that's not where you'd want to aim on it if you were shooting a real animal.
Right.
So I don't know about you, but I just put where I wanted to exit.
Yeah.
It's automatic.
Yep.
And on this buck, I saw exactly where he was standing. I put the arrow where I wanted to exit. Let her rip. Do you know where it entered the animal?
Oh,
Big Sexy?
out of the top.
Yeah, over his hip bone.
Oh, really?
Went through the back of his hip bone, up through his entire body, and then came out right to the left of his chest. It hit everything important.
Yeah.
It was and at the moment, I'm not looking at which way his body's exactly angled. It's subconscious. Like I'm in the moment. I'm like, I needed to exit behind this. His heart's right there. I need the arrow behind it, or his lungs are right there. I need the arrow behind it. Turns, he was kind of walking away from me a little bit, straight down, and it just went just like that.
So did the Garmin tell you how to do that?
No,
Okay.
it did not.
I just wondered.
And had I aimed for his heart, and you put it on right below his front shoulder and all of that, I'd have hit his leg.
I'd aim for the red dot.
Yeah, I'd have hit his leg.
I don't know. I've drank the Kool-Aid apparently. So the tack here in Salt Lake. It's the only one I shoot because I'm here. We have the waterfall shot, right?
Yes.
This year it was a deer. It's usually a carp.
Yeah.
Waterfall shot. So this year it was super backed out. Both times I shot it. There's 40 people sitting on the ledge waiting for each person to go. Because everyone wants to take a picture.
Oh, yeah. Someone's going to die on that someday.
Well,
I swear.
We don't do snowboard anymore. You know that, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we moved it. So we're looking for a new cliff shot.
It's so... I'm surprised no one's died yet.
Me too. I'm extremely grateful no one has taken the fall.
I look at what some people do and I'm like...
You know what's funny? So I sat there, watched 40 people shoot. Mm-hmm. And everyone's sitting there. I got 23 with my Bushnell. Oh, I got 28 with my Leopold. Everyone's got these different. My Vortex at 27.
Yeah. Everyone's
got their thing. This year, out of 40 people, the only person to hit the red dot had a Garmin Zero. I laughed at them all. And I didn't have to get up there in range. I seriously drew, stepped up to the ledge, looked down, shot. Mm-hmm. Like I should have videoed it because I didn't have to sit there and do all the stuff.
That's why I think it will increase your success rates. But everybody still hits that target. They just don't center punch it.
Right. And that was my whole point with asking you about Big Sexy. Can you attribute that kill to the Garmin? No. Yeah. I can attribute how fast he died.
Yeah.
To the Garmin.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was really an eye opener in Texas, when we were down there because we were hunting pigs. And piglets are the size of a football. Yeah. And piglets are running around everywhere. There's 40 piglets and 4 or 5 big pigs.
They're so destructive.
And they're just eating they're like locusts, just mad.
They're
nuts.
So loud.
Oh.
It's gross.
They come on. They're gross, man.
They're so gross.
And these little pigs, they grow up to be giant consuming boars and sows that are they're just voracious, right?
Yeah.
So they're trying to manage these pigs. They're shoot as many piglets as you can. So I'm up there with a bow and arrow, and a piglet will be 25 yards, and that same piglet will he'll be 17 yards. And his kill zone is the size of a baseball, maybe.
Not even that.
Not even pink.
Piglet, it's lime.
Yeah, lime, right?
Yeah.
An orange. So when you're aiming at that, you need that single pin accuracy.
And it's moving.
And there are times where it was 1 yard or 2 yards because it's right underneath me.
Yeah.
That Garmin compensates for all of it.
Yeah.
And people who don't know this, usually when you're 3 yards and under, you need to be using your 60-yard pin or your 70-yard pin.
Yep.
Somewhere in that range, 80 yard, depending on the person. And so people tend to take their 20, and try to aim low. Uh-huh. It's the opposite of what you need to do.
Right.
You really need to switch to your 70-yard pin to make that shot. Well, if guys practice that, even if they practice it all the time.
If they're paper tuning their bow like they should be, knock tuning every arrow, they know that.
But that, again,
80% of the hunters probably don't.
And again, it doesn't keep them from taking their shots You're still hitting the animals and hitting the animals. That's what I was going to say is it's just the difference between a precision shot and a non-precision shot.
Right.
It's most of the time I think we still hit our target. We just don't hit it where we need to. And that means a wounded animal.
I was excited to go to Texas last year because this is my first time on a farm with pigs.
Yeah.
You know?
It was my first time too.
And so I was all excited. I'm going to shoot a couple pigs. Well, I got out there. I didn't see any pigs. I killed a few whitetails. I think I killed 4 or 5 whitetails. And I saw some access deer. The only pig I saw came in with an arrow in and out of its back hock. Like, seriously, right in the back straps. No, all meat, no bone. Stuck. He couldn't keep up with the rest of them. Probably couldn't go through the brush with that arrow hanging out of him. And I think that pig would have been dead. Whoever shot him. Well, I don't know where that arrow came from.
Yeah.
It's Texas.
Well, I was going to say earlier, remove the rangefinder and part of it. And I think everybody would use it because it's so easy. It's a built-in archer's edge. It's a joy to use.
And it's so fun.
Yeah. So on the pig thing, they're smarter. They're tougher to kill than like, it was so difficult to get pigs to come in for the shots. Like they got noses, man, and they're downwind and they're checking things and they're so wary. And I mean, they were every bit as tough to like sort of trick and ambush as a whitetail was.
Yeah.
I
didn't have an opportunity, so I have no idea.
they were tough.
I think it was my second or third trip to Texas.
Yeah.
But the first one I thought, I get to, maybe shoot a pig. I didn't get to.
It was awesome. I thought hunting pigs was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So